Hey, it's Jer. We're always looking to make this show better, so we have a new survey for podcast listeners only up at dailydetroit.com/pod survey. It's just a few questions, no personally identifiable information. It would really help the show out. That's dailydetroit.com/pod survey. And thank you. Hello, friends, and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Monday, March 6th, 2023. We're sharing what to know and where to go in Metro Detroit. I'm Jer Stays, and on the other end of the line is...
Cheyenne Serini.
How are you?
I am okay, a little frazzled, but I'm doing well.
I feel like that's kind of how it always is, right? Like Monday just kind of hits you in the face.
Somebody's got a case of the Mondays over here, and it is me.
Well, let's get into our feature conversation. Chef Mamba from Baobab Fair is joining me and us here on Daily Detroit. He just won Chopped, which is a super fun to watch competition on Food Network. We'll talk a little bit about it afterward. And then I've got one more story to share with you. The University of Michigan is making some changes with their Center for Innovation project in downtown Detroit. So we'll talk about that too, Shai.
Sounds great to me, Jer.
Joining me on the line, Chef Mamba. How are you, sir? And congratulations on your win.
Thank you so much. I'm doing good. Thank you so much. I'm very happy.
I mean, I think a lot of Detroit was happy to see that. I know I was. I was rooting for you every single stage going, get him, get him.
Yeah, I feel like that is exactly what you say. And then that's why I went there as make Detroit proud, And then, as you say, like a lot of people was behind me, right? So, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, at home, we put together a little watch party and everything because we were so excited. So what was that experience like? Like, how did that all come together to be on Chopped?
Last year, someone called and then we were like, we just saw you were the best new restaurant by Eat Magazine in the country. It's like, so we would like you, if you want to come to Chopped. Right away, I was like, I'm not sure it's something I want to do. Right, because I never done that kind of competition before. My cuisine is different from what we can find here. I was like, no, I don't want to go. And then after, everybody was convincing me, like, you have to go. I was like, yeah, I think it's a good idea to go. So I tried to find the why of going. And then I was like, okay, I have a story to tell. I have Freedom House. I have Detroit. I have Burundi. So there is a lot of things I can use this platform for. So that was my motivation going there.
Yeah. How were your nerves coming into this? I mean, you ended up meeting so many interesting people, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's intense. It's a long day. So they start filming around. So you start getting at the studio around 5 and then start filming and everything. So you get there and, it's a long day. It's a competition as well. And you have amazing chef who has a big experience. It's intense, it's stressful, but you have to do that. At the moment that you get in the competition, everything changed, right? Everything changed, and you start competing. And then I think you don't realize until you finish, but that's where you feel like you're so tired, but it's something to do once in your lifetime. Yeah.
Well, and you can forever say that you were a Chopped champion, which is an excellent thing, and something that I think so many people can relate to, because they're the reach of Food Network so big.
That's true. But again, the goal here was not to go to win the money. The goal was not to go to win and then be famous. The goal was to tell this story and to use this platform and to tell people who we are. What is Detroit? What is Freedom House? That amazing things are happening right here in Detroit. That was the goal, to go there. And yeah, again, I will keep using the same, chance I just get from Chopped to tell the same story, to educate people about our culture, about our cuisine.
Oh, 100%. And I think that this is a great on-ramp to do it. So if people aren't familiar with your cuisine, there's been so much written about your restaurant. I've eaten there a number of times. I enjoy it greatly. But like as an on-ramp, if somebody has not had your kind of cuisine, what are a couple of dishes you would suggest people try?
I would say like everything because it's different. So it depends on the day. So if you're vegetarian, in Torah is great. It's the eggplant, smoked, and with smoked is amazing. Our coconut rice is good. Our rice pilau is incredible. Our beef is good. Our goat mbuzi is good. That is my Friday meal. It's the reward meal. After a long week, I feel like Friday I have to treat myself with a goat. And then the very popular dish here is the fish. Our fish is very, very popular. People like it. It's very light. I would tell people like coming to the restaurant is an experience. It's an experience because this is who we are. And then sharing what we have is just your mom, cooking, right? It's not like any other kind of restaurant. It's just you're coming, you enjoy the food. So it's an experience. You have to stop by and see, what I'm saying.
Oh, and I can vouch that it's amazingly filling, but not heavy. Like you feel good afterward, which is an amazing thing. You mentioned your mom, and you mentioned, I believe you mentioned that on the show too. What was family dinner like for you? Because you're sharing this with all of us. It's got to come from an amazing place.
True. So my mom owned a small restaurant in the market, and then she didn't want me or any of my siblings to be in the kitchen. I've been cooking all my life, but I didn't go to school for it. I went to school for business. And then that small restaurant was making sure that she didn't want to make, she didn't make money, or she was not expecting to be rich from that small restaurant. That her goal was to make sure like, hey, you can have meal every day, because it's not everybody who has that chance where I'm coming from to eat every day, like 3 meals. That was her number one priority. And second, she can get some money so we can go to school, we can get education. So every day a meal is something special because you're not sure that you're going to get it. So you don't take it for granted. You eat and then you share with others, because your neighbors, your cousins, people, they don't have the same, it's not everybody who can afford food until now. So food is something that you gather with family. Food is something that you share with people, and food has a big place in our culture.
Well, and it seems like there's just so much of a focus too on acts of service. I absolutely love the humility that you have. And I mean, I've read other interviews. I remember I was there when you won Hatch. I mean, I wasn't, we didn't meet, but I was covering that. And the humility and way you approach everything with an act of service, I just have to remark, is absolutely amazing and very, very good and very commendable. And thank you for that as a Detroiter.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This country has given us everything. We are here because, living in a shelter and starting a new life. We didn't come with anything. Everything we got was here. It's people, taking our hands and shows around how you take a bus, how you speak English. When I came in, me and my family, me and my wife, we didn't speak English. And it's people, around the shows are. So you feel like this is my home. So I have to give back to my community. I have to build my beautiful city that I love.
So what ended up bringing you to the United States?
We came as a refugee. We came to seek asylum here in the United States, and we find ourselves in Detroit at Freedom House, Detroit. Yeah, that was not a choice. I always say that this was a destiny. So coming here.
And, for people who don't know, what are the kinds of programs that Freedom House supports?
So Freedom House is a shelter that we give legal support, shelter, food, medical assistance to every refugees and asylees who are coming to this country, and then so they can start a new life. The only one in the country, by the way, who can give everything, as just said. You can get another shelter that can give you one service, but you can't find one shelter that can give you everything.
Well, and what are some of the ways that Freedom House helped your case and your situation?
Oh, no, everything. I say the English that I'm speaking right now is I learned it from Freedom House with the program they had at that time. Different partners, like language partners, asylum, they give you a lawyer. So our kids, by the way, we have 9 years old twin daughters. They were born while we were living at Freedom House. So Nadia, when she came before me. She was pregnant. She didn't know that she was pregnant, and she found out she was pregnant with twins. That's how they were born here. So we have a very, very, souvenir, or I can say like we are very attached to Freedom House. So everything we are today is because of Freedom House.
Well, and if people want to support Freedom House, what are the ways that they can support them?
So as you saw, I won the money that I won, the 10,000. I gave it to Freedom House. I donated to Freedom House because we are building the kitchen now. We started a campaign to raise $120,000. So to build that kitchen, they don't have a kitchen. and I feel like they deserve it. They deserve it because that is the minimum thing that you can get. So you can go on a website at Freedom House. There is a link for the kitchen, and you can donate there, and so we can make this happen.
Oh, wow. Well, I will make sure to put that in the show notes. I will make sure to put that out on social media so everyone knows about it. And I encourage people to check it out and to give because, this culture of service is a big part of what makes Detroit go. And it's one of the reasons why I'm really glad to talk to you. So before I let you go, is there anything else ahead for Baobab Fair and what is happening with all what you're doing?
Yeah, so Baobab Fair, we keep doing the same thing that we're doing. We are bringing a food truck. We have another concept as a street food, and we're going to be around this summer. That's what I can say.
Well, I mean, that's huge. I mean, street food is huge. That's going to show so many more people the work. That's absolutely great news to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing Detroit so well to the country.
Thank you so much.
What an interesting conversation with Chef Mamba. I wanted to make a mention of something that I don't think we covered in the interview, but I saw him at Baobab Fair, and I realized we didn't talk about the total needed for that kitchen rehab. Cheyenne, we're looking at about $120,000 that he's going to try to raise in the next bit of time, which I know it sounds like a lot, but if you're talking about like a commercial grade kitchen and the amount of people that they want to serve at Freedom House, I feel like that makes sense.
I think it does. I'm sure that they're going to be putting in like larger stoves and ovens because they take care of so many people that while it seems like a lot of money, a renovation that seems normal for a renovation.
Let's move on to the other story that broke, kind of like while we were putting this show together, Cheyenne. We kind of had to scramble. In fact, I'm going to pull some of this stuff off of a press release, and I had an opportunity to reach out to the University of Michigan. I actually asked if they would come on the show for an interview. They declined. They said they got to let the press release stand because there's a lot of details yet to still be worked out. But I hope at some point somebody will come on. But there are some big changes when it comes to the University of Michigan, the District Detroit, the Center for Innovation, and all of that. And I think, what was your first thought when you saw this press release?
Well, one, at first I was like, wait a minute, is Stephen Ross not involved at all anymore? And I was like, wait a minute, what is happening?
I think that there's going to be a lot of confusion around this. So let's try to unpack everything and all these changes that are happening. First off, let's separate out. This is about the U of M Center for Innovation. That's actually what they're going to call it now, the University of Michigan Center for Innovation,
right?
With what they're doing. And then there's the other parts of the District Detroit, which are going to be those residential units, commercial units, hotel, that thing, right? Now, number one, Stephen Ross's related companies is no longer doing the development. According to the press office, the press inquiry that I got, that I was told that the university and related co's agreed the project would be best served if U of M managed the construction. So that's a pretty big change too.
Yeah.
So that's one. The funding is still going to be $100 million from Stephen Ross, $100 million from the state of Michigan. An additional $50 million is to be raised from donors, and Olympia Development is donating the 4-acre property. So those are the pieces that are going together. So this is still moving forward. Now, there are going to be some changes, though, to the programming there. So a key thing is that its programming is expanding. So it's going to be now what they're calling 3 types of activity: graduate education, talent-based community development, and community engagement. And the idea is to focus on economic development and job growth for the city of Detroit. And this is according to the rather new president of U of M, Santa Ono. They're also going to be doing workforce training, professional development, and certificate programs. So this will open up who can go and use this facility, Shai.
I like that they're putting in certificate programs as well.
A quote I found interesting in here in this press release: UMCI will benefit from being near their proposed $1.5 billion, 10-building mixed-use development. Related companies and Olympia Development have joined forces to develop in the District Detroit near the Fox Theater and professional sports teams. Because this seems like it's next to, it's like, hey, we're together, but like now we're not together, but we still work together.
Yeah.
Right? This feels like an office breakup.
I find it interesting in just in the juxtaposition of our conversation last week with Olympia development and now this new news coming out. I feel like I was kind of blindsided by this news.
You, of all the contributors, you kind of have a history of being a little bit more skeptical of Olympia development. Can you kind of dive into why that is?
I am probably the most skeptical out of everybody just because I know their track record. The reason why I'm so skeptical is because I've been around Detroit for a very long time, and I remember the Madison Lennox Hotel being demolished because they wanted a parking lot for Comerica Park.
So let's reset the Madison Lennox thing so people know what we're talking about. Because one, it was a while ago. Two, what I'm realizing is I even need to reset like what the District Detroit is with people on the regular. Because, you know, everybody covers everything, but it's so hard to follow, right?
Right.
So this was a couple of historic buildings that used to be hotel spaces and I think long-term apartments for a while and then it got into disrepair. These were located right across the street from the Detroit Athletic Club near Harmony Park, which is now Paradise Valley, near Grand Circus Park, that whole area, right? Am I right? Like Opera Housey?
Yeah, it butted up against, well, now it's called the Ashley, but it used to be the Milner.
And when was this?
So the building was actually demolished in 2005, which was a long time ago nowadays, if you think about it.
I mean, 18 years.
The reason I bring this up, I mean, this is Kwame era. The reason I bring this up is because during your interview last week, when I was editing it, he said, wouldn't it be great that the Fox Theater has this awesome boutique hotel right downtown? And I thought to myself, if they had had this foresight all these years ago and renovated the Madison Lennox, they would have been ahead of the curve for cute boutique hotels.
Well, you know, at that time, you know, the idea of even the Book Cadillac getting renovated, like the economic forces in Detroit were all about demolition.
Oh, they were.
Now it seems like every single building that has old bones is far more attractive. And I can't help but think of an alternate reality. You know, you mentioned the Madison Lennox, a couple blocks away from that. I can't help but think of an alternate reality where the Statler Hotel wasn't demolished. And I know we have listeners who are like over there at the Statler, right? And people, you know, there are some people who like it. It's more of a modern thing. It's only a few stories tall compared to the size of the Statler. But I can't help but imagine what something like that or the Lafayette building could be in this market with this demand. I mean, you know, hindsight's 2020, but it feels like some of the people who didn't want those demolished, they feels like they were a little bit right on this one.
And two, also, the Statler was also demolished in 2005.
That's right. That's right.
And they I remember them saying, well, it's one or the other. It's either the Book Cadillac, which is not as in much disrepair as the Statler, but we can't do both. So we got to tear one of them down, which is really a shame because the Statler and the Book Cadillac kind of anchored Washington Boulevard.
I'll just say it's crazy that 2005 is nearly 20 years ago, and we're still having these kind of conversations, and I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, well, if you've got feedback on the show, dailydetroit@gmail.com. Always here for you. With that, I am Jairus Days.
And I'm Cheyenne Sereni.
Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.